Track 7 is My Body is a Cage from Arcade Fire. I think one of the things that I find fascinating about Arcade Fire is that they seem to be a self-contained universe. A lot of bands are just a sort of one dominant writer, or they're fighting it out and still mixing in external elements. And some bands feel quite isolated and insular and live and generate their own world, their own sort of microcosmic entity. And I think they are one of those, which means that they may have a difficult life, but it'll be very interesting. Dickie again told me about Arcade Fire when they were playing down the road in Bristol. And again, it took me a while to really get what they were doing. And I think sometimes that's a sign of quality. That's something I regret when people just pick songs off the internet, but they don't always give music the time that it needs to grow on you. Some of my all-time favorite tracks have been things that I didn't pick up on at first. I love this title, My Body is a Cage, to start off. I've no idea what Wynn was writing about here. Whatever they were talking about, for me, I got this picture of The Butterfly and the Diving Bell, the Julian Schnabel film, I think that's the correct title. But when this guy was locked in a coma, and it also made me think about in relationship moments when you feel totally unable to go into your body properly, that you feel trapped inside and you can't communicate in the way you need to. And there's a desperation there. I mean, it's maybe the darkest song, and it's definitely, internalized in the head because you can't get out of the body. It was a big opportunity, I think, for John to sort of really throw a lot of paint on the canvas, and I was encouraging him to extend some of the big instrumental sections and add some of these crazy triplets, just really push it to the extreme. And I think he's done that very well. It's the only use of the choir on the record, but it's, I think, quite a moody colour coming in at the end. But it's a great piece of writing, and I'm now a firm Arcade Fire fan, so this was a great way to really get to know their work.
My mind holds the key. I'm living in an age that calls darkness light. Though my language is dead, still the shapes fill my head. I'm living in an age whose name I don't know. Though the fear keeps me moving, still my heart beats so slow. My body is a
Track 8 is The Magnetic Fields, or Stephen Merritt's Book of Love. I'd actually recorded this a while back because I was introduced through a friend to Magnetic Fields and really fell in love with the writing particularly, but also the quirky way that the band were interpreting songs. And we tried to sign them to our label here, unsuccessfully. But I was doing a string section, in fact, for the Up record when we did Signal to Noise, and we had a little time left over, and I thought, well, just in case we do, let's get a simple string arrangement done for this track, because I think it's a very special track and we could make something of it. So we did it there and then, and it went out with a film. When it came to this record, this was one of the references of how things could be, although it was on the sort of more romantic end of things. It was, I think, an effortless interpretation of a song where you really hear and feel the voice. This version of it, the strings, we did as a test when we were looking about where in the world we should record the strings and who with. This Hungarian group with whom we and some of our friends have worked with very kindly agreed to try performing the chart for us, and actually did a wonderful version, which we'd never got to use. So then we added a couple of things to it, but it's pretty much as it was performed in Budapest. It's, I think, another extraordinary love lyric that is deeply romantic and a little sarcastic at the same time, I think it's quite open to people that would be turned off by the sort of slushiness of a normal love song. This Stephen's persona and his sort of acid tongue a little allows it, I think, to open up to a wider audience. It also got used, I think, on the last program of the Scrubs TV series, and that has generated a little cult. And someone showed me the other day that there's, I think, 1.5 million views on YouTube of the song, which completely surprised me. But I think it, again, is a love song with a long life. Claudia from Magnetic Fields tells me that they're getting lots of requests now for this particular version and the string arrangements for wedding ceremonies. And Eva Longoria from Desperate Housewives, I think, got married to it, so there's maybe a bit of copycat phenomena happening with that. So it's had a strange little life of its own, this song. And it was lovely for me to have Melanie working with me again on the vocals. All the vocals were resung. And I think this version, while being based on the same string arrangement, still brings out a few different colors. It's a great song.
The book of love has music in it. In fact, that's where music comes from. Some of it's just transcendental. Some of it's just really dumb. But I love it when you sing to me, and you can sing me anything.
I think I may have said last month, but it suddenly occurred to us that with these shows that we've now announced, which we're going to do in the new year, there wasn't enough material. And I felt, as this is the first time I've been out with the orchestra, that I should do just orchestral and piano music in this particular show. So we are now going through some of my old numbers, and some people have already been on the forum saying what they'd like to hear, so thank you for that. Some of those numbers have been included, and we're working on arrangements, some of which I'm quite excited about. There's a thing on Rhythm of the Heat, for example, where we're taking each drum part and replacing it with a string part, and that sounds amazing to me. So I'm having fun, and I think it's going to be a very different sort of show for me. We've announced the ones in Europe, which are March 22nd, Bercy, 25th in Berlin, and 27th and I think 28th for the O2 in London. We are looking now at some dates in America and Canada. It'll probably be about 3, because I don't want to be out for a long time, and I think it'll be a little later now. We were thinking of doing it at the same time, but I think now we want to take a little more time with these arrangements, and we may do a bit of visual stuff just for my material. I think the first half of the show at the moment, everything can change, as you know, but I'm planning to do very straight, just voice and orchestra.
You're listening to a Peter Gabriel Full Moon Club podcast. This is the second Scratch My Back preview, linking to petergabriel.com.